Welcome back, Deadites and Ghost Speeders. If you're new to the channel, I am Old Head Gaming, and of course, if you want to stay up to date on the latest horror ASIM information, you make sure you hit that subscription button, turn on the notification bell for all horror-related videos, and of course, today we can dive into what the full patch notes look like for the 7.3.0 update, aka the 29.5 mid-chapter. And of course, we kind of broke down a lot of stuff to prepare for with the update on the developer's note yesterday, but they did drop the full patch notes of the chest merchants change, as well as, of course, as the anti-face camping and some other tweaks to killers, and we're going to break it all down right here in the patch notes. Now, of course, important information, yes, it's a capture of your September 11th account, so anything you had on September 11th carries over. Easy peasy. As of recording this video, we were just a few minutes away from the launch of the PTB. Obviously, it's up now. And the first thing they did was they changed two perks, one killer, one survivor. The killer perk was Furtive Chase, which is no one uses it. You can become obsessed with one survivor. You lurk in the shadows, eliminate your victims one by one. When the obsession is hooked, the Furtive Chase receives a token up to 2, 3, or 4. Each token decreases your terror radius by 5 meters. It was 4. And now, of course, background player, when a killer picks up another survivor, background player activates for 10 seconds. When you start running, breaking into a sprint at 150% of your normal running speed for 5 seconds, it was 4. This perk cannot be used while in exhaustion, and it causes exhaustion for 60, 50, 40 seconds, depending on the level of the perk. So those were the two perks that was adjusted. There's a little bit more on why they chose to fix those in the developer update, and you can watch that video from yesterday. Now, of course, she was all about playing chess. And that is no more a thing. And when I went through this originally, I didn't see anything about them changing the chase music because, well, now she actually has to chase people. And they broke down extensively why she needed to be changed. And of course, we know why she needed to change because 3 gen sucked. And here's what they did. They removed the active zone cylinder. They removed remote activation of drones. The killer now starts with 6 drones instead of 4. The minimum distance drones can be separated is now 16 meters. It was 22. And the drone radius is now 8 meters. Now, they did this because now the drones make you as part of the chase rather than just basically sitting on a single spot, allowing her to just basically camp gens, and when she gets some information, go to it. Now, they did some changes to radar as well. This is the ability button to open the radar to see the location of survivors detected by drones or those with claw traps. Drones can be recalled with the radar. Each survivor detected by the radar increases the skull merchant's movement speed. They also did some changes to lock-on. Lock-on meter fills when scanned by a drone or when failing to disable a drone. When the meter is full, survivor receives a claw trap, becomes injured, and suffers broken status effect. Additional scans briefly apply hindered status effect, and they said that's for 10 seconds. A claw trap broadcasts the survivor's location of killer, which is for 3 seconds, only removed when the battery dies. Remove the exposed status effect upon lock-on. So that's, which is really good, which is one of the things you would get exposed. Then she would one-shot you and try to fix the gen. So none of that's available anymore. This is the whole new thing. The new chase merchant has risen upon. And daily rituals, achievements, load tips, and scoring events have been updated accordingly to the new form of the skull merchant. Now, yesterday they went into why they were changing some of these killers, and these buffs are just kind of minor tweaks. They really went into why Trapper needed a buff a little more extensively than the others, but Trapper got an upgrade on his traps. He now starts with 8 versus 6 on the map, and they said some of the map sizes were causing it just to be too tough. And of course, now when he sets a trap, he gets a 7.5% haste boost for 5 seconds after every trap he sets. And Coffee Grounds add-on has been updated to indicate it is an additional haste effect. They did a couple of other killer tweaks. I'm just going to do Huntress and Trickster together because it's exactly the same. When they go to get either knives or hatchets, and depends on the case, it used to take 4 seconds to completely reload. It now takes 3. Speaking of reloading, Death Slinger's reload of his spear gun now takes 2.6 seconds. It was 2.75, and they adjusted add-ons to make that more applicable. So for example, Warden's Key decreases spear gun reload time by 0.35 seconds. It was 0.5, so it's kind of exactly the same. It just now kind of fits in with what they had in line. And then Jaw Smasher and Wanted Poster increased movement speed by 1.5% for Jaw Smasher, 3% for Wanted Poster. They were 1% and 2.5%. So you get an extra 0.5% on looking down the sight of the gun speed for both of those two. Legion, add-on BFFs. So you earn tokens for hitting Survivor during Feral Frenzy. They explain how, because this is so situational, they wanted to buff the movement speed when the gates opened. Once the gates are powered, if more than 15 or more tokens have been collected, gain a 6% movement speed instead of a 4% while not in Feral Frenzy. This was another big thing, and this was the anti-camping feature, and survivors on a hook have an internal camp meter, which fills if the killer is nearby. The meter fills faster the closer the killer gets, but slower when other survivors are near. Never becomes negative. There's never regression on your meter. Once the meter is full, the survivor gets a prompt allowing the escape with 100% probability. Survivors who take this action gain endurance for 15 seconds. This feature shuts off entirely when the exit gates are open. Also, this can also work on second hook status. I don't think it's entered here, but it was part of the information from the developer update yesterday. And as part of this system, Bubba can no longer hit a survivor who has endurance twice in the same half a second time span. And this was something they alluded to, but this is more information they gave us yesterday. They updated a couple of maps, Shattered Square and McMillan Estate. Shattered Square received a lot of comments and release, some issues related to objects being low to the ground and hard to see, especially when it comes to killers that are navigating with a first-person camera. We did clean that up and made them feel much better in the loops. There was also inconsistency with our visual navigation language. Objects were placed in a way that it felt possible to simply climb because of smaller angles or stales or slopes and found others map. This was resolved by taking away some of those objects or by placing that matched the collisions. The line of sight was very low, gave the ability for players to see across the map. A clear line of sight can be detrimental for both roles depending on the playstyle. We have changed the position of tiles with higher line of sights to be more predominant, and the size of the map was large, and we decided to reduce the size to encourage encounters, make it more dynamic, and reduce the time finding interactables such as generators, hooks, etc. McMillan, they basically just kind of added more opportunities to see different versions of the map since it's 7 years old. And like, for example, they said yesterday, you might find the coal over on the other side. Like, it's pretty much just slight tweaks to make the map feel fresh again. When it came to features, we did some boost to bots. Success rates now correlate with skill check size. Skill check debuffs such as Doctor's Madness or Hex Huntress Lullaby reduces the odds of hitting the skill check. We also got some bug fixes. We got audio fixes such as an issue that caused the killer to hear Ripley's dialogue in the menu, fixed an issue that caused the subtitles and masterminds more to disappear quickly after appearing, more bot stuff. Bots can now attempt self-unhook. Bots now break a stare down with a killer earlier when standing still on the opposite side of a remote flame turret. Bots now try to look for potential killer approach paths when doing long interactions, taking breaks from turning the camera slowly. Some character fixes, Huntress, Bubba, Clown, Ghostface, and Hag to follow the rule of looking slightly down when vaulting. Xenomorph's tail can no longer attack behind her. The FOV increase from blinks can no longer see the tally screen when leaves match during blinks as a nurse. Environments and maps. We got a couple here with dream snares. The first one can't be placed on the floor of Shattered Square's main building, and now the second one, it can't be placed on the floor of Toba's landing base. Fixed an issue with Demo Puppy jumping on the walls to disturb Ward Realm. I saw TikTok of that. It was absolutely hilarious with him standing up there. Fixed an issue with Cold Wind's Realm where assets were too close and blocked navigation. It is no longer possible to place a bear trap higher than the killer, preventing animation glitch during the reset, and Chemical Trap can no longer be invisible on the pallet survivor gets hit during the animation. Perks, ultimate weapon no longer works on survivors in a locker, and Undying now always handle token stacks of Hex the third seal correctly. The only platform fix was fixed the issue on the Switch that caused crashing what happened when interacting with a friends menu, some UI fixes, map icon variation for the stale numerical indicators, and for consoles, the loadout search bar virtual keyboard now appears in the player's selected language rather than English. Miscellaneous equip charms are now always visible in the store. And that's it. Now, obviously, this is one of those situations where it is a mid-chapter, and unfortunately, it's not a mid-chapter like the last one where we got Nicolas Cage, so there's not going to be any additional new content, but we did get some big stuff. The anti-face camping mechanic and the rework to Skull Merchant, which is by far the fastest rework in history, are two pretty big things. I like the buffs to the killers. Like, nothing was tremendous, but like having extra traps for a trapper and that haste buff when setting does probably feel much better. They went deeply into why he needed a little bit more of a buff. I'm okay with the reload times for Deathslinger, Huntress, and Trickster getting buffed, and even, you know, BFF add-on is fine for Legion. Like, none of that seemed like very extreme. Even the perks that were updated, I mean, it's whatever. I want to hear your thoughts, though. As always, let me know in the comments below. Thank you for watching, and later, mates.